In today's video, I'm going to teach you how to plan a month's worth of content in just 15 minutes. Hey guys, it's Laura from Milroy Media, and I'm helping entrepreneurs and small business owners leverage their social media and digital marketing to create loyal, lifelong customers and get paid. In a previous video, I talked about the importance of having a strong social media strategy. And one of the ways to do this is by having a content schedule. When I work with small businesses or entrepreneurs, a lot of the time I hear that they don't know what to post on social media. So they often don't post anything at all, or they post something that's just like a little blah. So this is where having a monthly plan comes in handy. So whether you're posting every single day on the platforms or you're pre-scheduling your content, you will have clear and balanced content for your audience. So I'm going to show you the system that I use to plan a month's worth of content in just 15 minutes.
Okay, so this is my Instagram page. It's on my desktop because this is where I'm filming it. And I just wanted to show you because you can see sort of somewhat of my visual strategy here. So what I've done is I have combined using quotes or tips in sort of like a graphic, as well as using sort of like my own photography content, and I mix it up, right? So basically, like one day I'll have a graphic or a post, and then the other day I'll have some photography, so you get a little bit of everything on my account. So knowing that, I can go into my content calendar, which for me, I use Google Calendar, you guys. This is not like the most professional thing, but it's one that I actually like the best. I have looked at a lot of different content calendars from a lot of different digital marketing gurus and social media agencies, and really for what I need just to plan my content for the month, is Google Calendar. I like to get a macro view of the month so that I can see how everything is laid out and what certain things have to be set in stone, and then which ones I can just drag and drop and change around based on what I'm feeling is more appropriate for the day or more appropriate for my audience, and it makes it really easy to just grab and change. So this is not where I plan my content or post my content or anything like that. This is just strictly for planning. And using Google Calendars is actually just a really easy way just to get it all out there on the page, just to get your basic plan, and then you can kind of go into each day and structure your stuff a little bit more or plan your content however you prefer doing it. Some people like to plan a month's worth of content on autopilot using a scheduler like Buffer or Hootsuite or Later or Planner or whatever. And then some people like to post natively on the platform every single day, and that's going to be a personal choice. I personally plan most of my content. However, there is a valid argument for both, and it's really going to be a personal preference. So I use Google Calendar right now though to plan it because I can access it on my phone and mobile. So if I am posting natively for whatever reason, I can just go in and be like, oh yeah, I was going to talk about this today. So just going back to my page, so we can see that it's since every day is just going to be interchanged with one's going to be a quote and one's going to be a photo, I just sort of keep that in mind. So here we are on the 10th, but I'm going to show you just where I just start. Usually I start planning the next month's content, usually about a week before the month ends, just so that I have it all kind of organized and ready to go, and then I can take a day or half a day to actually come up with the content, take the pictures that I need, or just get it into the scheduler. So this is going to be how to just kind of get your overall monthly plan organized a little bit. So the first thing I do is I just kind of go in and I just pick the holidays. First, there's certain things that are going to be set in stone for certain days, right? Or if you've got a launch of a product or there's a sale happening, you put the stuff that's set in stone, concrete, first. So July 1st here, we recently had Canada Day. So I would do a Canada Day post, right? And I throw that in there. So I know that on that day, I'm talking about Canada Day. I also know that down here is going to be a long weekend. So even though this is August, I'm just going to go in and be beginning of long weekend. So one thing, July is probably not the best day because there's just not a lot of holidays, but you kind of get the idea. And then you just sort of go in and be like, okay, so we're going to start here on the 10th. And if you look here, I haven't posted in a little while. So my next post is going to be a tip, right? So I'm going to look at a tip that I have, and I'm just going to start posting like when I have to do tips, when I have to do quotes, and when I have to do photos, right? So I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to start with tip. It doesn't have to be like that difficult. It's just, I don't actually schedule the time in here, guys. Just so that you know, it's just really for me because I don't like having that blocky look. I like to move some things around a little bit. So, and then otherwise sometimes like it goes into my calendar funny. I save it here. So I know that I'm doing a tip here, and then I'm going to do a quote here because every other day is a graphic, but it just changes as to whether it's a quote or a tip. So, and then I'm just going to kind of go throughout the month, adding that stuff in so that I can go in after and fill it in based on like what I need. Oh, and look, I screwed this one up. Or no, I didn't. And so I get here, and even though that I already have that I want to talk about like the beginning of the long weekend, I'm going to put a quote in here as well, and that doesn't mean I'm doing 2 posts. It just means that I know that I have to cover both those things in that day. So it's really just more about like what the topic is. So now we can go in and like fill in on some of these topics, right? So these ones are all kind of like set, like, today has to be a tip. On Friday is going to be a quote, and you're just kind of going back and forth on all of these things, which is fine. And now I can kind of go in and fill in. It's like, what's that tip going to be, right? So I click on the thing. So I can go into the tip here and say, I'm like, okay, so I know my audience, and I know that they're really interested in growing on Instagram. And so they are small businesses who are trying to sell on Instagram. So let's just talk about how to sell on IG stories. So basically, I'm just putting a broad topic in there, and then when I go to plan it, I can dive in a little bit deeper. On this quotes, I actually already have a list of quotes that I use, so that I know that I don't really have to fill these in so much. And when I go to plan my content, which is going to be a later video, which you're going to really love because it's going to be talking about how to create a month's worth of content and schedule it and get it all organized and up and running on autopilot in less than a day. And so I know a lot of you small business owners who really just like cannot handle the concept of doing social media every day would really benefit from this video. So just keep an eye out for that. You will see it coming up soon. So just make sure you're subscribing to my channel and you're hitting that notifications button so you get alerted every time that I post a video. So I don't really have to worry about, the quotes right now because I already have a list of quotes that I'm pulling from that are related to my audience. I just realized that this is all off because I missed a day. So I'm just going to move everything over. But see, like that's the benefit is that, in Google Calendar, you can just like drag and drop stuff, which is kind of what I love because stuff changes sometimes and you're like, I really like that post or I really like the idea of what I've had there. But I'm not really like, but I just want to move it around for when it's like more appropriate. So I'm going to go in and just like fill in all the different tips that I want to talk about, and you can sort of see like how I do this. Okay, so now that I've sort of filled in like what the tips are going to be about, what the subject is, I know that when I go and plan, I can just sort of jump in and fill it in and riff on it when I go to plan it. The quotes I already have a list of. So now I need to go in and fill in some of these other days. And the thing is that you really have to know what your audience wants to hear from you. There's really only 2 sort of motives on social media when you're a small business on the types of content that you're posting. One is to educate your audience, right? So you want to educate them either like in your products and services, or you want to educate them about like what you have going on, or educate them about what they can expect from your company when they sort of first walk in doors. So your audience is going to get a lot of value out of education. So that's why I do my tips, right? Like the tips are going to be all about like education. I'm teaching you something about what I offer. I'm a social media marketer, and so I offer, like strategy, I offer services, I do full service social media, But there's a lot of people in small businesses who aren't really ready to pull the trigger on hiring a social media manager for even just like a small project, and they really want to get to know who you are and get to know what the types of value that you bring to the table. So by educating your audience, you're showing your value, you're teaching them something about your business, which also is going to help like weed out the people that aren't going to be right for you, right? If they like the way that you're delivering content, or if they like the style or your tone of voice, or like just like the person that you are, then they're going to be more likely to hire you. However, if they don't like you, if it's going to be a pain in the butt to like talk to you, if they think that the tips that you're sharing are generic or not that helpful, then they're not going to come hire you. So it's kind of like a nice way to, one, provide value to your target audience, and then two, like weed out the people that are not your target audience. And especially when you're like on Instagram where you're getting a lot of bots, you're getting a lot of people who are doing likes for likes, that kind of stuff, you really want to be as like niche as possible, because you don't want a lot of like extra fluff people in there that aren't going to be, like the people you want to serve in your business. So if you're a service-based business, I really recommend doing like tips as much as possible. I don't like to like oversaturate it just because it becomes difficult for me to create that content. So this is why I sort of spread it out with quotes. So the quotes are the other type of content that you're going to be posting, which is entertainment. So, really when you look at social media, those comes down to those two things. When you look at YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, stories, video, email, everything comes down to education and entertainment. And if you're not fulfilling one of those two buckets, then likely you're not providing a lot of value to your audience. So I like to try an entertainment audience with either like motivational quotes or funny quotes or quotes relating to being an entrepreneur or owning your own business, because that's who my target audience is. So that's why I do like my quotes in there, as there's a little bit of an entertainment piece. And then I go in and I try to post every single day, but I do sort of leave some room if it's not right. And then I also like to show, like some of the day-to-day stuff. I want to show my personality. I want to make sure that people like understand and they like me. Right? And I also like, one of the things that I like doing is I like showcasing other small businesses. So I go to a lot of coffee shops to work during the week to get out of the house, because I have a home-based business. So, something like on a Monday where you're doing like a Monday coffee, but spell it right, and Monday coffee small business shout out. Right? And so I know that I'm going to do that day. And then when I go to schedule content, I just sort of like, I can keep that in mind. And I know that when I need, a photo of a coffee at one of the places that I'll be working that week. So I can either post it, if I'm posting natively or if I'm posting like day of, I can just say like, oh, it's Monday. Like I'll just have to take a picture of my Starbucks or this small coffee shop that's around the corner. And then I can shout them out. And then I'm really like, the call to action here would then be like something to the effect of, hey, what other small businesses and coffee shops do you like? And then getting my audience, which are like local entrepreneurs, to post their favorite coffee shops, which one is helpful to the coffee shop because they're getting shouted out on social media and somebody might be able to like see them. And two, it gives me great ideas of places to go for my next outing, which I need. So I like that. So, that's kind of like how I fill it in. And let's say, it's like Friday, you've just had a tip the day before. And so you want something funny, right? Like you're going into the weekend, people need something funny. So I can even just put funny, right? And what that does is it just reminds me that like I need something like funny. So whether it's like a picture or a quote or the caption has to be funny, I know that what I'm like, the emotional aesthetic that I am trying to sort of target is going to be like in the humor range, and that that's what I need to hit on. Then I go to like a weekend, let's say Saturday. So Saturday's family time for me. I've got 2 small children, and I try not to be like on my phone. And so I can even talk about that. I can do like a family share, and since for me, I'm going to be posting it in a scheduler, and I know it's going to go out automatically, and I don't have to worry about it. I can go family share. I'm going to talk about my family. Right here, I was going to say like Wednesday. I find a time is like in the middle of the week where it'd be a good time to talk about like go for lunch with somebody or something like that. A lot of the meetings that I have happen on Wednesdays, and so I can do like day in the life lunch meetings, sort of. And then I'm also like, it's a business shout out. I do a lot of business shout outs because I try to support small business as much as possible. And when I do, I like to shout them out to my audience. So let's say I'm doing that. However, since I've just done a business shout out here, I'm going to take this Wednesday post and I'm just going to drag a drop down here, right? And so you can see that you're like, okay, I want to do this. And my first inclination was to do it here, but I'm actually going to do it over here. So then we're going to go back and look, and I'm like, okay, what else can I talk about here? What's something of value that I can add to my audience? And so I can say, you know what, I'm going to do a flat lay, and I'm going to talk about creating custom photography. I know I can go in that day and I can just riff on how to do custom photography for your business. You know, easy peasy. Okay, so let's go Tuesday. I want to talk about something else. So one thing I know that a lot of what my niche audience has a problem with is like turning off their phones when they run their own business. And so I want to talk about that there. So I know that my niche audience has a problem turning off their phone because they're all small business owners. So they check their email all hours of the night. They're checking their social media. They're checking their sales. They're responding to messages and DMs and all these kinds of things. So I want to talk about turning off their phone when you're a small business owner. And so I know that I can just go and chat with them about this. I can offer some advice on how I batch my time and how I structure my time and the things that have worked for me. And honestly, one of these great things about these posts is that then you can ask your audience, it's like, what works for you? I want to know more about what you want to do. And then also ask them like their tips and tricks on sort of finding like work-life balance as well. So I'll save that there. Let's say we're Thursday. Oh, another one I want to talk about. Especially because I'm in the same situation. It's working with kids. I know for me that summer is a hard time because I have one of my children home pretty much full time, and I've been putting her in camps and stuff, but like getting work done sometimes, including filming this video, is difficult. And so we're going to post about that. These are the same struggles that other entrepreneurs have, is childcare. So, sharing that with the masses and see what their advice is. Monday, again, we want to start the week on a high note. At least I like to. And so I like to do something either like motivational or funny that's going to get like a stronger emotional response on like the bookends of the week a little bit. So Monday for me is kind of an important one because you want people to start you want to be able to offer people some sort of like uplifting something. So one of the things that I would do on a Monday would be talking about personal development. So where do you get your motivation? Who are you following? Who are you reading, watching, listening to their podcast? Like, asking my audience who their personal development like icons are so that they can share it with us and with the class. And we can share it with each other and just like, get a little bit of that energy. And then one more Saturday, you know what? I'm just going to do a full sales post. I'm going to talk about my custom strategy for small business. I try to like mix my sales stuff in with my content. So for me, this is going to be more of like a salesy, straightforward post where I'm talking about like, okay, I'm going to be talking about strategy, this is what I offer, whatever. But like, even when you talk about like flat lays about creating custom photography for your business, I can go in and be like, hey, and if you guys don't want to do this, these are the services that I offer. So if you need help with, creating a strategy for your business and social media, then, like I can help you with that. So it's like, I try and throw in like, my sort of my salesy bits, in here. So if you're a small business and that's something that you're struggling with, I try to offer value first and then put in a sales pitch. And it's not really a sales pitch. It's really just more like, hey, this is what I have to offer. So this is what I use, you guys. Like, this is actually it. It is not complicated in any way, shape, or form, like at all. This is just a broad overview of what I'm going to post this month. And then when I go to post it, and you'll see that video in a couple of weeks, so make sure you subscribe and hit that notification button. But what you'll see is that I'll go in and now I have an idea, like what are the kinds of things that I need to create content for, right? And so some of it is going to be like just writing the captions. Some of it is going to be taking that custom photography, you know, like it means that like, oh yeah, I need to remember to take a picture of my coffee cup the next time I go to the coffee shop down the street. I need to do a flat lay, you know, like you kind of look at all of this stuff. I need to take a picture of my family or share a picture of my family, those kinds of things. And so it helps you direct the rest of your time when you're managing your social media. So as you can see, this did not take very much time at all. This is like super easy. It does help when you've got a strategic plan. If you do not have a strategic plan for your social media, this process becomes a lot more difficult, and it also it becomes a lot more scattered. So for me, I know that this is like a good balance because I've used it, I've tested it, and I've seen results from it. Now I just continue doing that, and I can see, like, I can go in and check my analytics, and I can check, you know, how each post is being responded to, and understand that, like, oh man, like the quotes aren't landing, so nobody likes them, I'll start cutting them out. Or, you know, like people really like the flat lays, or they really like the personal photos, and maybe I don't do tips at all, or maybe I do tips, only tips. People aren't really enjoying my Monday coffee small business share. So, you know, like you really do have to have a strategy in place, and then do your research and do your analytics and check to see how the efforts that you're putting into your social media are actually being viewed and responded to and engaged by with your audience. And if they're not being responded or engaged to by your audience, that's when you need to try something else. If any of you have any questions about this, please put them below. I would love to talk to you about the social media for your small business. I'll try and answer as many questions as possible. And if you're at all interested in a strategy, you can just go to my website at www.lauramilroymedia.com and send me an email from there, and or send me a message anywhere, and we can chat about creating a custom strategy for your business. So I'd love to chat with you about your business, and I want to know, you know, like, what do you guys think? There are a million other calendars out here. Google Calendar is the one that I use. I have seen a lot of like really cool Excel spreadsheets. It's just going to be based on your personal preference. And I would love to know what you guys use. Do you guys plan your content like this? So put it in the comments below, and I'd love to chat with you.
I hope you found this useful. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, I hope you'll like, comment, and subscribe below to get more videos like this one. I'll see you guys next time.